Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here.
Corey here. Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful Mr. Cory Wong.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Feels like a long time coming.
Sure does.
Yeah.
Come on. Can put me in a room with this much gear? I'm stoked.
It's funny, even just about, I don't know what that was, 16 bars of playing or whatever it was, I feel my head staying still and my ass shaking like Lettieri's does. You know that thing he does?
I do. He's got a nice little shimmy.
Well, maybe we'll talk about him in a bit. Okay, so Corey's here, UK tour?
Yeah, just finished with mainland Europe.
Yeah.
Did about 15 shows there. Have 5 shows in the UK here. Nice way to end the tour. Feeling good.
It works good for you in the UK.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's been fun.
I've always said that Joe Bonamassa is the hardest working person out there, but I think it's you.
Yeah.
Joe works pretty hard, man. He's doing a lot. I don't know, we're doing our thing, you know. We're just, I don't know.
You put 4 records out in 2020. I know it's a long time ago now, but...
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff was already recorded. Some of it was from a live show that I did. I'm trying to downplay it. Yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I am efficient in the way that I work. I am prolific in my output, I guess, objectively. But I think a lot of it is because I'm also working while I'm on tour.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which I guess being on tour is work. Sure, I guess it's like, wait, hold on, we are working. But no, like, we just recorded the most recent Fearless Flyers album right before I went on this tour, and I've just been mixing the album on tour. So like the album's gonna be done before we're done with tour. I rented a couple studios and just like, I wanna have all the videos edited, have all the mixes done, so that way the album's done. And then when I go home, I don't have to work on the album. It's done.
We got into the mixing conversation because the first thing I asked Cory when he came through the door was, did you do the mixes on Cory Wong and the Wong Notes videos?
Yes.
From those 2 really high production series you did on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so that's how we got into the mixing thing. We will talk about guitar in a minute, but I am fascinated by that. The production level and the ambition in what you put out in those 2 series of shows was off the scale. How did that even happen?
That's a great question. I sometimes ask that myself. But since I was a kid, I've been enamored by variety shows.
Yeah.
I just think they're so fun.
Yeah,
Talk
right.
shows, variety shows, that sort of thing. Like Dana Carvey had this show I remember watching as a little kid, just like, what is going on? And SNL and, you know, growing up watching The Late Show and The Tonight Show and Lawrence Welk and all these other just weird variety shows. I grew up in Minneapolis where Prairie Home Companion was, and that was a radio show. But a lot of that sort of format was interesting to me. But I thought, how cool would it be to have like The Late Show meets SNL if the musicians all took over? And that was kind of my vision.
Wow, okay.
You know, so I had the idea when I was in high school, but it was just until now where I had the resources and team around me to kind of pull it off. So I was making an album, or I had a bunch of stuff ready to make an album. I thought, okay, you know, here's my budget for music videos, here's my budget for whatever. Normally we just go in the studio and we track the songs and there's a person with a camera and they just film us doing it. Okay, fine. It's like, well, what if I actually had some music video budget? What if I also had some other marketing budget? What would all that look like? And then it's like, what if I wrap it all into one thing and make it a big project and put it on YouTube? And my manager's like, if you're looking at it on its own, you're never gonna make your money back. You're gonna put it on YouTube with no sponsor, partially because I couldn't find a sponsor. I explained it to people, they're just like, we don't get it. And I'm like, all right, screw it, I don't care, I'll fund it myself. But it was like my album budget, you know? Okay. So, but it was all those things in one. Like I just wanted to do the project. It was this creative endeavor that I wanted to explore and try. I wanted to express a different part of my artistry in a different way. I was like, I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. Play some extra gigs and save some money. And yeah, it was just so much fun to have guests on the album, but then also be able to interview them right after we got done playing together.
That's fantastic.
And then just hang out and just show different sides of my personality. It was really fun.
Did you direct it as well?
I co-directed. I needed to hire somebody to help me with some of that other stuff so I could really focus on the album portion when we were doing all that.
If you haven't seen it, check it out. It puts a great many TV shows to shame. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, an astonishing bit of work. Anyway, I just wanted to reflect on that.
Yeah, no,
I was
it's
just
great.
watching it, just doing the sums in my head, going, no, surely not, no.
Well, it also helps when you, I don't know, I have done a lot of video work, like you guys. I've done a lot of video work myself, so I did a lot of the video editing on it. All of the music portions, I did all the video editing, and I did have somebody help with some of the mixes and some of that sort of stuff, but I put in a lot of work on it myself, so that saves a lot, and I have a really great team of people around me that are just very efficient at what they do as well. So,
Will you do another one?
I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it's really freaking expensive to do. But also, it's like a lot of these ideas that I had for sketches and things were ones that I'd had for years. And
Okay.
I worked with some other people to help me write some of them, but I want to just take some time to really write the right things for it.
The Court. Anyway, we'll stop talking about that. We'll move on. I was just sat there laughing. Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed, like going through a lot of your stuff, and like as Mick was saying, just astonished by the amount of work and us having a vague idea of how this is put together, just watching it going, this is incredible. But the theme across everything, I would watch all of your stuff and I'm always sort of taken back by the amount of work that you've done to get to where you are. Like being able to play the way that you play that doesn't happen overnight, right? This
Sure.
is a lifetime's work.
Yeah.
And none of the other stuff that happens around it doesn't happen unless you can do what you do.
Yeah.
Right? I want to because the first time I saw you was in a Fearless Flyers video and I was like blown away. The funk. Can we talk about the funk? Because I haven't heard it, certainly for a long, long time, played with such veracity and like it's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not a pretend thing. It's like you're really doing it. Can we have a look at that and, what it takes to get you to do that?
Yes. The simple answer for how I got there with actually feeling it and living it is that I grew up in Minneapolis. I still live in Minneapolis. And so many of the bands that I was playing with growing up, I was the only one that wasn't Prince alumni. Yeah. So a lot of these cats that I was playing in the rhythm section with, they're like, hey, Prince would have done it this way. Or like, hey, your voicings don't sound right. Or like, hey, change your feel to be this. Or change your tone to be this. And a lot of it morphed me into like, learning really the ins and outs of the Minneapolis funk, feel,
Hey, wow.
sound, voicings, all of this stuff where it's like, when I was growing up as a teenager and in my early 20s, just like being told this is the right way to do it for this feel. And then, after doing a lot of the stuff and, spending years learning to sound like John Frusciante or like Rob Harris or like Prince or like Al McKay or whoever else that were my big influences in that style of guitar playing, eventually it was like, okay, I think I can explore my own thing within it. And I had a lot of encouragement from the people that I was playing with to do that. But it was so much just playing a weekly R&B and funk gig with people that were,
Really good.
yeah, and that were Prince's rhythm section for over a decade and played with, Stevie Wonder and all these other people. It's like, okay, they probably have something useful to say. And they all had perfect pitch. Many of them could call out a BPM at any moment. And it's just like the awareness that they had was so insane.
Wow.
Even to the point where it's like I'd be playing, and they're just like, quit it with the harmonics thing. And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh yeah, they're like hearing this thing. So it's like, because it's instead of this stuff where, that's really bothering them. Or it's like, don't play this. Like, there's a keyboard player. Why are you playing 4 notes? There's a keyboard player with 2 hands and 2 keyboards. Why are you playing 4 notes? Like, how do you even hear that I'm playing 4 notes? Lay off of me. But then I would change it It's like, oh, you're right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And part of the thing in Minneapolis too is it's such a school of negative reinforcement. So if they're yelling at me, I know they want me around for a while because they want, and it's like, and it's also, can you hang?
Yeah,
are you actually wanting this? And are you good for it? And I'm good for a nice lashing every once in a while if I need it, So I grew up with very, very particular. I hate using the word picky music directors because they weren't that. They're particular about how something should feel, when you should pull something back, when you should push it forward, how to interact and respond. But then also so much of what I learned was just from playing along with albums.
Yeah.
Like when I was 12 years old, I would get home from school and I would play down the entire Blood Sugar Sex Magik bass tabs book, and then I would start over with the guitar tab book. So I would play through and try to match the feel. And then also by learning both the bass and the guitar part, it taught me so much about arrangement. I'm not just learning this guitar part, I'm learning how it interacts with the other instruments. And I have this complete awareness now, not complete. I was learning the awareness of how things work together and arranging within a rhythm section, which I think a lot of guitar players at that age, and even as adults, maybe just don't put in the time to think about. Where it's like, yes, I learned my part, but why is it working the way that it is?
I think the focus is so narrow, isn't it? Because as a guitar player, when you first start learning, your only focus is where do I put my fingers on the board? And a lot of people never get you might say that me and Dan have never really got past that. It's how does it fit within the band? What is your job in this band? And I guess, as you said, if you're in that melee of that level of musicianship, because some people would be put off by that, right? They would fall away and they'd say, this isn't for me.
That's the majority of people. But that's part of why I think some of those guys were doing that. It's just like, we only want to be around people that are going to put everything they can in this. And is the school of negative reinforcement the most healthy way of teaching people? Maybe not. Yeah. But it definitely worked great on us, on my generation, the friends that are in my rhythm section in my band. We grew up with all that, and that's what made us really good and really tight. It's not for everybody. Yeah. I am okay with it. I can receive it, and it's fine. I know that it's not from a place of a personal.
Yeah. They want it to be right. Yeah.
But you seem to have translated that ambition. Like if you search for Cory on YouTube, for example, what you'll see is tons of gigs, tons of live clips, really ambitious band projects with your name on the thing at the back. It's your project. You're saying, I'm going to take a 4-piece, 6-piece rhythm horn section out, keys, bass, the whole thing, big stage. It's quite the ambition to do that as a predominantly non-singing guitar player, right?
Yeah, it really is. And I would say that if I had any superpower, it would probably be ambition, for better or worse. But I think it's wild to me. Yeah, like we were talking on the car ride here. It's like I just played this arena in Amsterdam. It's like, playing a sold out show at the Hammersmith Apollo or any of these like huge venues. I'm like, how did this happen? I'm still just as surprised as anybody else. And if you think about it also, not just a predominantly instrumental, non-singing guitar player, even beyond that, it's like I'm mostly a rhythm guitar player. So the thing that I do that's most unique and that people recognize me for, like I sat down and I started playing something and I started playing something else. And then I do the thing that people know me for and you're like, there he is. Yeah. It's like, of course, like when I do my thing, people, for whatever reason, I've stumbled upon this thing that is my own unique voice in the way that I play the guitar and how people recognize me, which is fantastic. Again, very grateful for that. But in the rhythm sense, it's like I'm a arranger, producer, writer, guitar player. I don't need to make it about the guitar all the time. And honestly, my preference, I go to some shows, I've seen some of my favorite guitar players play a 2-hour show and I'm like, I honestly don't want to hear any more guitar for the next 3 days. I've just gotten so much guitar. And that's a personal preference. Some people just like, feed me guitar, it's just like, so I'm just like, I just want to hear the keyboard player for a while. I'm going to give the listener a different thing to Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to, so watching your band, it's an 11-piece band you're touring with at the moment. The horn arrangements, unbelievable. That Stevie Wonder stuff you do in the middle, and when they're just unaccompanied, and it's like, well, it's wild. The keyboard player, the rhythm section, you went to school with these guys, right? You knew these guys. This is like homegrown talent. You went, come with me, boys, we're going on the road.
Yeah, the rhythm section, most of us, we went to college together or just grew up in the scene together playing music and figuring it out. Kevin, the keyboard player, and I, we met our first day of college at music school. I went to University of Minnesota first. I went for science, and then I transferred over to music school. It's like, what am I doing? I don't know which one am I doing, either going to music school or not going to music school. It was one of the, but Kevin and I met our first day of school. We got paired up in ensemble together because they're like, oh yeah, you would probably play well with this person. I'm like, wow, they nailed that one. You know, we're still playing together now. But yeah, so much of it is just cats from Minneapolis. Like the horn section, most of the guys in the horn section are just people that I would play jobbing or wedding band gigs with when I was cutting my teeth. Or it's just like, oh yeah, there's like an Easter service and we're, you know, they got a horn section and they got a whole band coming in. We come in, we play and get to know each other. Like, wow, this guy's insanely good. It's like, yeah, he happens to be Prince's horn arranger too. It's like, oh, sick. And then there's like this musicians racquetball league at the YMCA in downtown St. Paul. So it's like, you know, a bunch of musicians hanging out playing racquetball, just dicking around, having fun. And then I was really starting to do my own music, and Michael Nelson, who's the horn arranger for Prince for decades and the leader of a group called the Hornheads. He's like, hey, you know, I know that you sometimes have horns on your stuff. If you ever want something, let me know. Like, I'm working on all this stuff with Prince right now, these orchestral things. And honestly, the stuff that he played for me that's not out yet, it's like in the vault. It's like it's in the vault and it's on Michael's computer. Every once in a while I go in the green room, I'm like, Michael, play me that Prince thing. He's like, he can't play it for anybody else. But he's like, yeah, in between these projects, let me know. I can work on some horn stuff for you. And this is years ago, and now we've just been doing all. His horn arranging is, I mean, he's arranged for Stevie Wonder, Prince, even like everybody from the Jonas Brothers to, you know, all these. Yeah, modern pop acts, classic acts. He's just absolute go-to arranger and brilliant mind.
The one thing though, that like the level of musicianship on stage is outrageous, but it's always fun. It's always accessible.
Yeah.
You've got, I mean, being able to do what you do, playing mostly instrumental music, and you've got people like screaming and cheering after bass solos.
I know.
And when did that happen?
That's so wild,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fun aspect of it, okay, that's part of the secret for me too, is that, yes, I do a lot of stuff. It's like, you've got all these things going on. You've got, you know, all these different things. Yes, it is a lot, but I found that, so first off, I say no to way more things that I say yes to. I will say yes to the things that feel fun to me.
Yeah.
And I've realized that the things that are fun, either, I mean, yes, some things just take up my bandwidth because it takes time and it's just so much focus and energy, and it challenges me as an artist, it challenges me as a person. And there's a lot of things that are just logistically or resources-wise challenging. But if they're fun, it ends up always giving something back to me.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, project-wise, it's that, but also, I think a lot of people playing instrumental music, they take themselves so seriously. There's this like level of tension. It's like, yeah, you guys are dope, but I don't know. I don't feel like I can connect to you. You know, it feels like there is some sort of weird tension or barrier, which, you know, maybe I should have more of, but I don't care. Like, it's just, we're having fun.
Yeah.
We're playing music, and yes, we have a very, very serious dedication to the craft and level of excellence that we strive for, but like, we want to have a good time.
You've got this balance, but because as soon as you start, the whole audience is moving. It's really great. And then you can pick the musicians out because they're going, oh, their jaws have dropped. Actually listening to what you guys are doing and sort of comprehending the epicness of it. It's really great. It's really great. So if you haven't seen Cory live, you've got to go. I'm going to try and get down to the London gig.
Please do.
It'd be wild. But we need to have a look at some guitar stuff.
Yes, please. I mean, come on, we're around all this gear. How have we not talked about any of it yet?
Before we get into the board, can I ask a question about tempo?
Absolutely. Now we're talking. It's going to be another 30 minutes till we get to the gear, but that's why we have chapters on YouTube videos.
One of the things that is arresting about your playing and the band is the tempos you keep to.
Yes.
And maybe you could offer us some advice on how on earth you work up to that tempo over the years.
And nail it, and it's just...
Yeah.
Because playing the guitar is one thing, right? And you can maybe sustain it for 4 or 8 bars if you're playing at a tempo. But those tempos that you guys nail frequently is serious work. Did it just come naturally? Did you put the work in?
And it's funny because I still don't look at myself as a fast guitar player. It was like 6 months ago where people were like, dude, how do they play so fast? Dude, how do they play so fast? Oh my gosh, this tempo is getting faster and faster. I'm like, I guess we are kind of playing fast, aren't we? Am I a fast guitar player? And like in my mind, I'm still just like trying to keep up with, I don't know. It's like,
I would qualify it though, because you're in many ways, you're in some ways the opposite of a lot of aspirant guitar players. Because when you play leads, they're always soulful.
Yeah.
They're always using a lot of harmonic stuff and plenty of sustained
No
notes.
licks. They're linear and
But it's the rhythm stuff.
Yeah.
The rhythm stuff.
Yes, I guess I am objectively fast on the instrument. That's okay for us to say. It's like, yeah, I'm good at the guitar. Well, imagine that. I've spent my whole life dedicated to it. It's okay to say that you're good at something. You're good at what you do, right? You can build a rig. You can make a nice video. It's okay to say that, right? So, yes, how did I figure that out? Honestly, with the rhythm stuff, it came from marching band.
Oh, wow.
So growing up playing in the drum line in marching band, I had all these exercises that were right, left, 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 you know, all the, and then when it became time for me to be the center snare, like the section leader, the other thing that it did is it raised my awareness of time and my awareness of, it's really what started my neuroticism towards of hearing when anything is off time-wise.
Wow.
So, you know, again, some people, I don't like to use picky, I like to use particular. Some people are like, oh man, Cory's a real picky band leader. It's like, no, I'm not picky, I'm particular. Like if we're gonna feel time this way, we all need to feel time this way, or we need to purposefully feel time in a certain way. But when you're in the drum line in the center, it's your job to kind of keep everybody on. So I would be playing and keeping the time, but then I'm gonna hear like, oh, 2 people down, this person's starting to rush. Or 2 people down that way, this person's starting to drag. How do I hold it down to get them together? Or how do I communicate with them like, hey, you're starting to rush this. Hey, you're dragging this. You know, the awareness of time and what you're aiming for on the dartboard. With marching band, you're always aiming for bullseyes, right? You're aiming for this one exact thing, very metronomic. And there's certain styles of music that I'll play where I'm learning to aim at a certain place on the dartboard. So that actually has 2 different pieces of it. It's mental awareness of where are you shooting for on the dartboard, right? Because certain games, like I need to hit a triple 17 right now. I'm not going for a bullseye. Right. Same thing with a time feel. I might be aiming for something. So my mental awareness of what I'm going for needs to be dialed in, but then my execution is a whole other thing. So the awareness and then the execution are 2 things that I like to separate. So that's part of the time. And building up the stuff, I just took all these drumline exercises and I just put them on the guitar. So like, you know, shifting the accents from the downbeat to the E to the and to the So. So shifting the accent along the grid, you know, and then honestly, just having a steady, if that's just going, really there's only 3 options for me. I can either hit that, I can chuck, or I can just let it pass by like a thought. You know, and same thing with upstrokes. So, you know, there's all these different things that when I started to build that up, the control, it was just taking all these drumline exercises and lifting them up.
But specific practice and exercise rather than I can just do it.
Yeah, I was practicing two things. I was practicing my mental awareness of time, and I was practicing my execution of time. So sometimes it's like, I'm gonna practice this thing where everything is metronomic except for the back beats, I'm gonna pull back a little bit. So beats 2 and 4, when I hit them, I wanted to be just a little bit behind, but everything else is gonna be very metronomic. And it would create this sort of feel to it, or, sometimes in Latin American music, the time kind of shifts at different parts of the phrase, and then it lands, it pulls back, and then so figuring out some of that sort of stuff, the way that certain things feel.
You guys will do that, won't you? You'll pull back and go again, and it's like, it's pretty amazing how you do that together.
It really is.
The other thing I did when I was a kid, my drumline instructor told me to do this. I don't know if there's any merit to it, but I know that I did it, and I know that Lewis Cole has done it when he was a teenager, and he also has insane time. I used to, for like a month, I slept with a metronome under my pillow.
A digital one, presumably. Yeah.
It was insane, but
at the same tempo?
No, I would switch tempos every night. I'd be like, bass line is just 120, just have it going in my head, and then
that's wild.
The next night I'd go 100 BPM, the next night 140, the next night 92. And I would just switch it up.
Wow.
And I
did you have the craziest dreams?
No, not that I remember.
Dreaming of clocks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it trained one part of my brain to just, maybe it did help my awareness, but try it.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, report back.
Try it and let us
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some sleep expert who's gonna watch this and be like, you're literally ruining years of research in my entire. Yeah.
Come on in. Let's talk about the rig.
All right, now we're back to the gear.
Yeah. I love your nonchalant approach to gear, by the way. It's in some of the conversations in the show where you talk about gas and you talk about all of that. Anyway.
Yeah, I am so stoked about my rig right now. Partially because so much of it is just stuff that I've had a very, very in-depth hand in the design of. Mm-hmm. So the guitars that I'm using on tour and in the studio now, it's the Cory Wong signature Fender Stratocaster, which I designed with Fender. And I have the Man StingRay II guitar from Ernie Ball Music Man.
We'll have a look at that in a sec.
Yes, which I helped them in the design process of, and they were just like, we need somebody who's stoked about a guitar like this. Will you help us design, give us your thoughts? And then, I was just looking for a humbucker guitar. Yeah. I want like 4 guitars. I wish I could even have this little amount of guitars. I know you guys have more guitars than this, but I don't want so many guitars. Yeah. I just want a few. So I was looking for a humbucker guitar that could do a handful of things. I can show you it later, but I wanted fewer guitars. So right now I'm using these 2 guitars, and I'm going into a Shure, what is this, a DLX 16? Is 16 DLX? What is it called?
Yeah, something like that. I'll check and make sure. I've got a question about wireless as well. Anyway, yes.
What, the fact that I'm 3 feet away from this and I'm wireless?
Well, no, I get that. Watching you live, I can see why you were gonna walk around.
Know.
But it kind of, Dan and I have always said we can feel the latency of wireless, but you play in time like nobody else, so you obviously don't.
Yeah. I don't really feel the latency of this one.
Kind of puts pay to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
No, I mean, sure. There's probably a tiny bit. Sure.
Hey.
Pun intended. Sorry. There's probably a tiny bit, I don't know, not enough for me to really care. Yeah. And that's probably saying something, because I'm a transient guy.
That's great. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so we hit the wireless, and then
then I go right into the Quad Cortex.
Yep.
Which in this, I have my plugin, the Archetype Cory Wong plugin.
Yep.
It's not available for anybody else on the Quad Cortex right now, only because they're figuring out this is like a beta of the thing.
Right.
Like they had to make. they had to recode the plugins to be able to work in here. I've been testing it out for the last 6 months to make sure that I'm happy with it. So it's my plugin in this, which will be, I mean, obviously it's available as a plugin now, but it will be available in the Quad Cortex soon, one of the next updates. In the effects loop of this, I have the Wong compressor, which I made with Wampler. Love this. It's a compressor boost with a DI out, which I wanted.
Yeah, nice.
Because you record direct a lot as well.
Yeah. Yep. And especially with bass, I like this for bass because it's got a little bit of tone shaping. It's got a little bit of compression in it. It's got a volume boost that is either flat or it's kind of like a mid-bump boost.
Can we hear that like on and off and how you would...
The compressor itself?
Yeah, what that does for your tone.
So here's with it on. Here's with it off. Ooh, yeah, this is the fun part. I got an always on switch. Not messing with me, bro. No, I have to, that's just a cute little thing that I want to add. Just in case I'm hitting the boost and accidentally
hit
yeah.
that. I like that.
Yeah, it's fast.
It's
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to blow up Brian Wampler's spot here, but part of what I like about the way that he approaches this kind of compressor is I think it also has some version of upward limiting,
Right.
where a lot of compressors, it compresses down and it kind of feels like it makes the tone thinner. For whatever reason, the way that he makes compressors, it kind of compresses it and then makes it fatter.
Okay.
So I think the upward limiting is part of it.
Was it developed from the Ego? Because it used to,
Yeah. So it's just like the Eagle compressor, rebiased a couple things, changed a few little things in the circuitry. I think actually maybe 2 things in the circuitry. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah.
I was just asking specific things. He's like, here's 2 options of it. I'm like, I don't care what it is that you change in the circuitry. Just give me a few options. This is what I think I want. And I was like, this one's getting there. Then he'd send me another one. Yeah, this is getting there, but I want all the knobs at noon. So then he just kind of, rebiased the pots and whatever. And
is that always on?
yes, I do so I have this button on the side that makes it always on. So that way, if I go like this and press both of them, the boost is on. And the boost, I mostly use it flat, but sometimes I like to do the mid bump boost because if I'm... It kind of is based off of the Clapton circuit and the Strat. I liked that because you were asking me about this. And is that like the Clapton? No, that actually gives me that. Because to me, it's the Clapton mid boost is a certain sound that's cool. I mean, his is maybe a little more aggressive than what this is, just based on taste. So I like that. But then, to me, there's 2 different types of mid boost that I hear that are different than my tone. One is like the Clapton mid boost thing. So I wanted that in more of a rock thing. But in this pedal, there's an EQ where there's a little bit of a mid bump, but where that one sits is like the Mayer mid boost.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So what is this then? This is a boost, is it?
It's a overdrive. It's 2 channels of overdrive. Channel 1, channel 2.
Oh, from Jackson.
Yep. And then press both of them and it's an EQ.
Oh, wow.
So with this one, I like to
clever.
use a little bit of a mid boost. Sometimes when I'm playing in certain things, it just, it can change the characteristics of the Strat a little bit.
Can we hear that?
Yeah. So here I'm playing just kind of. So it's subtle, but I actually hear it a little more when I have my drives on. When I give you the nod, will you turn the EQ on?
That's great.
Yeah, it's got a different sort of lyrical quality to it. You know, maybe it's in the same way. It's like, you know, the tonal differences between Paul Simon and James Taylor. You know, they're kind of in a certain realm similar.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of gets you from one guy to the next. You know?
What a vision! What a vision! That was a really beautiful reverb. Presumably that's in the Quad Cortex.
Yes.
So Dan and I are not very au fait with this. So these are your blocks of tone, are they?
Yes. So I have the first thing on here is an envelope filter. And then there's a compressor, which I have off because I have it there.
You've got one.
But if I didn't have my other stuff, I just, like if in a pinch, if I just needed this, I want the compressor still there. Oh yeah, this guy's my octaver. Cool. Effects loop, which is running through everything else.
Right.
I have two different overdrives. Stack them, and then this is a third one that I don't know. Maybe I liked it at one point and I switch it out. I don't know why it's there. It's cool. This is a phaser. I like to have this one. Fun.
Nice.
Leslie. That's fun. This is a capture of my amp. I have this EQ in here because of the beta testing of getting it all right. I just kind of, I want to put that just kind of baked in between the two. Cab, and then another EQ that I mean, it's hardly doing anything, but just a little bit to make it more front of house ready.
Yeah. So you send this straight to front of house.
Yep.
But on stage, you've got a couple supers as well.
Two whatevers. I kind of don't care as long as they're clean. Like right now, I'm running my amp modelers into amps.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Okay. Sure. I mean, they're right. I can't.
Yeah.
But I am. Whatever. So at front of house, and what I hear in my in-ears and what everybody realistically in the room hears is just the outputs 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then outputs 3 and 4, I'll normally go into amps just as a complete backup. If these channels happen to go down or start on fire or somebody walks across them with a wire cutter on the end of their shoes, fine. We've got these ones.
That's the thing, right?
Yeah. You'd have no idea how many times I've seen that.
But that is still your fallback on stage, right? You're still getting your sound from the back of the room.
I mean, I have my in-ears in.
Oh, you got in-ears.
And these,
okay.
I mean, honestly, these amps right now are louder than what I have on stage.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Why am I running them that loud in this room when we're just hanging out? I don't know, because it does feel good, doesn't
It
it?
does. It does.
I got nobody yelling at me, hey bro, can you get the amps down? It's like, bro, there's gonna be 7,000 people in here.
Yeah.
It's not
Whose
that
name is on the
loud.
side? Leave me alone.
No, but I have somebody who I trust will tell me how to get the best sound out front. And he does an amazing job. So
for the record, we are recording all of the above. So what I might do is edit some bits in so you can hear the mics on the amps and the Quad Cortex back to back, just to get an idea of the difference. So.
yeah. I have a delay on here, which is fun. I'll show you. This is basically the same thing, but just with a reverb already on.
Yeah.
Or I sometimes use like a. I like tap tempo delays. Honestly, I know you were talking about like how Andy Timmons uses delay and how a lot of these cats, how Vi uses delay. Mark does it too, where I'm like, how do you make, what do you mean it's out of time and it sounds good? It like doesn't compute for me. I think it's like my drumline upbringing. I'm like, what do you mean you just like got yourself playing again out of time? But when they do it, it sounds so dope. It just like doesn't compute to me. I'm like, how are you doing a delay that has nothing to do with the time of the song? And then I'll play through it and I'll maybe even solo on somebody's rig. I'm like, dang, this is dope. But I like can't get myself to do it. I have to have tempo. I don't know. So it's a gap in my game. I acknowledge that. Plenty of amazing guitar players are using delays that are out of time and somehow it sounds amazing. You're gonna have to show me how to do that someday. I don't know what I'm doing.
Do that.
I think it's the yang to the yin of being able to play so ferociously in time. Is
Yeah,
what it is.
that absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not out of time. It's my delay. Leave me alone.
That's it. Yeah. No. It's the delay. It's cool. I find it so weird when I sing into the mic. It's in tune, but when it comes back in the monitors, it's not in like. It's actually kind of a trick that
Yeah. Okay. You have a volume wah pedal
Yes.
that you did with, now it's Hotone, because I always thought it was Hot One, but Hotone, right?
I say Hotone.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know. I like Hotone better. They might have other things to say. I don't care. Everybody's confused by it, so just call it whatever you want. They made a pedal called the Soul Tone, sorry, the Soul Press.
Soul Press.
The Soul Press 2. And a lot of people are like, the Wong Press is just $100 more than the Soul Press. It's just the same thing. Why wouldn't I buy that? This is like the pro model. Okay,
we know that guy.
I know, yeah.
We know him really well.
Yeah.
I'm glad
he's probably already commented on this video 7 times by the time we've gotten to here. But it's like, there's a difference between an Epiphone Les Paul and a Gibson Les Paul, and there's a difference between a Sterling and a Music Man. There's a difference between, a Squier and a Fender. There's all those things. This is that sort of thing. This is made for the professional musician, much sturdier chassis, much more meticulous and thicker wires and soldering and blah, blah, blah. And also changed a lot of the features. So this one, the wah, I've got a Q, and I've got 2 different settings. It's like more of a classic, or it's a modern sounding one. Mm-hmm. I like the classic warmer one, and I put the Q at a spot where I like it. A lot of the wahs are a little too pointy and just a little bit higher in the frequency range than I like.
Yep.
This one I wanted it a little lower, but I also know that not everybody has the same taste as me, so I wanted people to be able to dial it in to their liking. At least the wah portion. The volume is just kind of the volume. And also it's got an expression so you can plug in other pedals. So it's all these other things where it's like,
okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You seem to, all the pedals that you have, they've got to do a bunch of things.
Yes, they better. They better.
And
Look, this is the 90s we're in right now. Come on, you better be able to do all this stuff.
the 90s. It's an interesting size too because it's significantly bigger than a mini Dunlop.
Yes.
But not as big because the treadle.
Yep. So the Fulcrum on the Dunlop Mini, I've had that one. I do like that, but I feel like the Fulcrum, you have to be. I don't feel like I have as much control.
Right.
And this one,
there you
I
go.
felt like I wasn't missing anything compared to like a VP Junior or even the regular full-size Dunlop.
Mm-hmm.
The Dunlop Mini I do like, but I like that it's so small, but it's just too much. It's too much for me to.
Yeah.
I just think it's a really sensible. Sorry, this is really boring, but it's a sensible design that it's just a flat plate on top.
Yeah.
And that thing's like curved up like that. So by the time you get to the top, you've lost half of your foot space.
Yeah.
Especially if you have large feet. Anyway.
So going back and forth between them. So the volume is.
Can you do it 18 inches off the ground? That's the question.
Keep my foot to the side so you can see the green lights. It's volume.
Yeah.
So, and there's a button here that you just stomp down.
That is so cool. Because you wouldn't use a volume and a wah pedal at the same time.
When would you?
Exactly. That's a great way to do it. Because on this thing, not that I ever used the wah because it's terrible, but you'd have to go down, press the button on the side.
Really? That's how you turn? Yeah.
Between the volume and the wah.
Is the volume always active then?
Yes.
Yeah.
And other people maybe have just been like, oh man, I wish you could turn the actually no. You can do it. You can make it so it's just wah.
And turn it off. Okay.
So you can either go volume wah, just volume, or just wah. If
That's
you want
great.
just a wah pedal. But I like it as a volume wah. But a lot of these pedals are things that I've worked on, and especially with this StingRay guitar too. It's just like, they're things that I've just wanted.
Yeah.
And I've just been curious about it, and I go to these companies, I'm like, hey, you make this thing, like, I'm looking for one that does this. Can you just like make me one that does this? They're like, and normally it ends up, I think if a lot of these companies, as you know, if they're smart, they're like, oh wait, is there something that's missing? Is there a void in the market that other people, I'm like, yes, I want this. And sometimes they're like, oh yeah, like we actually have something that does that. And, oh, cool. And I've gotten a different pedal and that's just fine. But sometimes it's, oh yeah, we don't make a compressor boost with a DI out. Why do we want that? And then I'll explain, and then my enthusiasm is also like, oh yeah, if you're that enthusiastic about this, I think other people might like that too.
Yeah.
A volume wah that can also be an expression pedal for your digital stuff, because
great.
So many people are using digital stuff now also. So a lot of these things are just stuff that I was really interested in doing. And it's like, okay, yeah, let's put my name on it.
But it's cool. Like, all of these ideas are born from being a working musician.
Yes.
They're real. These solve real world problems. The 2 overdrive thing going into the EQ, that's inspired, man. It really is. It's great.
Okay. Hold on a second. The first dual overdrive that I really fell in love with was the Barber Burn unit. The second one, only because it wasn't existing yet, is right there, the D&M drive.
Oh, no way.
That is one, I was saying this, I'm not just saying this because you guys, I was telling you this in the car right over. So many overdrives, it's like, oh yeah, we're doing this thing. They live in a few different realms. It's like kind of TS9 realm, kind of Klon realm, and then like other stuff as far as overdrives, right? Distortions, fuzz, that's a whole other thing. But I feel like your guys' pedal, it's been living on my studio pedal board because it does overdrive in a unique way that I've never heard another kind of overdrive. That I say that in a way where sometimes like, oh, I don't know any other overdrives that do this, and I don't think I'd ever use it. Like this is one where it's like, wow, this is something I haven't achieved this tone. Like I could probably get it with some EQ and another overdrive, but this just does something very unique that's very usable and very musical.
Oh,
so
man, that's great.
Yes, the dual overdrive thing on here was originally like, I want to create something that's unique in the realm of Tube Screamer-ish, something in the realm of Klon-ish, but not exactly the same. And your guys' pedal really inspired being able to do 2 drives in one and nail it. The Barber is just such a big pedal, and I love the sound of that.
Yeah, it's great.
Can we cross the streams and see you not playing a blue Strat? Can we hear the Music Man?
Sure, absolutely, I'd love to.
It'll be a new experience.
You hang on to that.
Hang on to this one.
You play that one.
Okay.
Single coils are amazing. It's been my lifeblood. It is my voice. I am a Strat guy through and through. But as we all know, sometimes you just have to have different sounds. And I had to just submit to the fact that I needed humbuckers in my life for certain things. Like there's certain R&B tones I wanted to get, like the Benson vibe. I just couldn't quite get it here. There's certain things in certain clean tones that like a 335 will get when it's brighter, or even other humbucker guitars in kind of a middle position. Wasn't quite able to get them the same way in the Strat, and certain heavy rock tones and even punk rock tones. Music Man had put out a Joe Dart Jr. bass that's basically like a StingRay Jr., right? Like a mini StingRay. I was like, dude, that teardrop shape is cool. I've never seen a guitar with that. So I hit him up and I was like, hey, remember how I was looking for a humbucker guitar? Because I told them, and I had talked to Fender about it, and they're, rightfully so, quite busy with a lot of other projects. It's like, it's hard to get, everything from, whatever. So I was like, hey, I'm looking for a humbucker guitar. Music Man had me come by. I played through the Lukather. It's like, this is dope for Lukather. And other guitars like, oh, this is dope for St. Vincent. This is dope for Valentine. But I'm looking for something very specific that's a complete contrast from the Strat. Or like the Lukather guitar, it's just too much like a Strat and humbuckers, So I'm looking for something the opposite. And I was like, give me that Joe Dart Jr. bass with humbuckers in it. Can you just like try, like if I give you a set of humbuckers, it's like, I kind of can't do that. But we've never really made this shape guitar before. We're looking for the right person who's excited about it. Like, you love this guitar shape. Like, what would you do with it? So it was a collaborative guitar. I was looking for 3 different things. Actually, a lot of things. Everything contrasting from the Strat.
Yeah.
So I was looking for the Benson thing, kind of in this, the humbucker sort of. If I turn this up, it's more like the. That sort of thing. I wanted just like the hard rock, this sort of. So
there's your zipper.
Yeah, there's my zipper. That sort of thing. But then I also wanted this other sort of funky side of older R&B guitar that I wasn't quite able to get with the Strat in the same way. And the closest thing I got with that was with the Telly, but this is just thicker with the humbucker, so it does it in a different way. And Music Man's necks are honestly, I don't know what kind of sandpaper they use, but they're.
It's the oil they use, isn't it? They oil the most of the back of the necks.
Really?
So they're not gloss finished. Yeah.
Okay.
And they always have a very specific feel to them.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's prosaically obvious to say, but that in between sound with 2 humbuckers you can't get from a Strat because you can't, unless you rewire it, you can't get the front and the back pickup.
Yeah.
So it is, and it's the sound of a lot of those early funk records, Meters, James Brown, the in-between sound of a Telly, as you mentioned, and sometimes a hollow body guitar as well. But it's cool noise. Yeah,
and I mean, I talked to Fender about it too. It's like, hey, I'm not I am a Strat guy. Like, this is a fun, literally everything about this is the opposite of the Strat. It's like, it's humbuckers It's gold hardware. Like I wanted it to every part of it to be very obviously contrasting because it also gets my brain into a different place. So it's like, this would be cool with gold. And, it's just, the trem is a different style. It's a humbucker guitar. There's so many aspects of it that, now I just find myself with two guitars. And there was some different versions of it and they rendered it out. And I was like, oh yeah, the actual StingRay shape, maybe it needs to be a little thinner here. Maybe these horns actually need to change just a tiny bit in size. And just like.
Speaking of shapes, have a look. Play that. What do you think about the body?
What do you mean? What do I think about the body?
The body, well, okay, I'll give you a hint. The body is 2% smaller.
Is it?
Yep. The headstock's 2% bigger.
Really?
Yep. And the story behind this is wild.
Again, my neuroticism started as a teenager being, a lot of times I wish I wasn't this way. I wish I didn't hear all the stuff that I hear all the time, but sometimes blissfully ignorant is better. But I noticed that Strats that have been sanded for an extra 15 to 20 minutes, the transient hits faster. I stand by it, I swear by it.
That's what I was going to say. It just feels like it's been sanded more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the contours are all nicely more rounded, more like a really early 50s one.
I've played so many Stratocasters and I've played so many S-style guitars. It's like the bigger ones, because they're all, they're not all the exact same. I mean, many of them are, sure. But some of them, even just off the factory, I don't know, like George went out for a smoke break and forgot how long he sanded this guitar in the 70s, and then he came back and just sanded it the full amount. So it was sanded a little more, so the body's a little smaller. Okay, this sort of thing was probably happening, There's some inconsistencies with handmade things. What I noticed is the ones that were a little bit smaller, they just responded a little faster.
Interesting.
And I had this hunch, I was like, I swear by this, and Fender, when we talked about doing this guitar, they're like, because I love the Ultra, the American Ultra. It's like, that's a cool body shape. I like the way the contours in the Ultra are. I want to change a couple things about it, body shape, but that's a good place to start. But let's change this, as far as the actual body shape and contours of that. Can you please make it a little bit smaller? They're like, no, why? Like, why? How? You just like doing this just because? I'm like, no, I swear it does something. They're like, are you doing this just to like test us? Why do you want it small? I'm like, I swear it's gonna be faster. They're like, we know you're not crazy, but really? I'm like, go pick up 15 guitars in the factory and just check for yourself. Find the smallest and the biggest one, and the smallest one's gonna respond faster. Like, all right. A couple weeks go by, and I get an email from Fender, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do it. I was like, what? Why did you change your mind now? Did you do the test? They're like, well, we talked to Nile Rodgers, and we made an exact replica of his Hitmaker guitar, and we sent it to him, and he said, no, the body's too big. This isn't the same.
No
the body is too big. They're like, it's the exact same. We know the second that thing came off the factory line, because we got all this, we have your serial number, we have the date it was made. I literally see the woman's name signed who signed off on everything. Like, it's the exact guitar. He's like, I'm telling you right now, I've played this Hitmaker guitar for decades. The guitar you sent me is too big. By like 1 or 2%. So now it's like, it's not fast enough. It doesn't respond fast enough. So I'm just like, yes! Yes! And at the time, Niall and I didn't even know each other. So they responded to both of us like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys were in cahoots here, but we're gonna do it. Yeah, you're both right. The two rhythm cats are telling us we need to do this. I guess there's something to it.
Right.
And then he and I talked about it after we had met and become friends, and he's just like, yeah, I don't know what it is. It just needs to be, for what we do, it's just gotta be.
That's fascinating.
Isn't that great?
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at the meeting of you and Nile Rodgers. It's like Niall's going, so, play funky guitar, do you? Really?
Yeah.
That would have been great.
Oh, he's the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. And you just picked this up off the wall in Guitar Center, right?
This one was at Sweetwater. Yeah, so
Sweetwater,
I have the original like approved prototype from the R&D that I was using for a long time. And then I had just like here's the first one off the factory line. And I was playing that for a while. And then I was doing this thing where at the end of my tours, I would sell the guitar I was using for the whole tour. And I had a couple guitars that I was using because I had a backup. But I would sell them at the merch booth for a little extra, and then I'd donate the money to get guitars in the hands of
that's
kids
great.
that couldn't do it. So the guitar goes for a much higher price, but somebody's got a guitar that I used on a whole tour, and a bunch of kids get guitars who wouldn't have been able to have them before. So a huge win. So I've just been literally playing guitars that Fender sends me. Any that I see, I want to play them just to make sure, make sure we're on top of it. So I went to Sweetwater, and I found this one on the wall. The second I plug it in, I play it, I'm like, it's just the right piece of the tree. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just, this is the right piece of the tree, and this is the right piece of the tree that just work together. And I went up to the counter, I'm like, I'm gonna buy my own guitar. This might seem like douchey of me to buy my own signature Strat at Sweetwater, like, okay. But my Sweetwater rep, my guy Anthony, he's like, dude, just have Fender send us, just take it. Call your Fender guy, have him send us, just take this. So this is one straight off the wall. It's just the right piece of the tree. There's nothing special about this one other than I like the wood. Yeah, I knocked that thing off.
Factory mod, the piece of tape there.
That's road worn, baby.
Stops you getting cut on your fingers.
Yeah, I did. That's why there's tape on it, is because...
I've had a few of those.
Yeah.
When you were first doing the button, I said, you've got the Clapton boost. But no, just tell us what this is again.
That is a 4th position panic button.
I love that.
Because the way that I play, my hand's moving all over like a dead squid, right? So I would end up hitting the pickup selector, getting it all out. So now you just press that thing down, no matter where the pickup selector is. Yeah, it's a push-push.
Then you're straight into 4th position.
It just locks into 4th position.
That's great.
It's the funky guitar player's equivalent of the blow switch, isn't it? Because years ago on Sirs and stuff and Andersons, you could just have the same switch that went straight to the bridge humbucker.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And that's what it did. So it's the funky guitar player's version of that.
Nice.
Straight to position 4.
That's great.
Exactly. And it's just one of those fun, kind of cute, like, this is my thing, that's my sound.
I want to make sure, because we could hang for hours talking about this stuff. This is so much fun. I want to make sure that we've got everything. Is there anything, Fearless Flyers, and I mean, we've touched on it.
Vulfpeck. This could take 5 hours.
I know. It's, you think you just have to come back. And we need to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's honestly, I am astonished by when I see you and the band live, the level of musicality, how fun and accessible it is, because you don't see that often with very musical bands.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it can be very
can be
exclusive.
really
I think you were
exclusive.
saying that earlier.
Yeah. And so, and I find it, and I think especially for a lot of young people who are watching you, so inspiring that you can be excellent and still have fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think we've got to this thing where
We've managed the fun bit.
We've managed the fun bit. Yeah, we've got to get the excellent bit. But it's wonderful to have an ambassador of the guitar who is incredible, but still has fun with it and knows when to take it seriously, but knows when not to take it seriously.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh,
it's a big deal for the everyone listening to you and all the upcoming guitar players that you're on there doing it, man. So thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming to hang out with us today. It's been
Very
a while.
fun.
So I ran into Cory at the PRS event and at NAMM.
Yes.
And I just said, oh man, we'd love to have you on the show. And Cory said, yeah, great. Cool. I'm coming over in February. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And he did it.
Here we are. 3 weeks later.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so thank you.
Of course.
Really,
thanks
really,
for having me. This is really
great.
fun. Love what you guys are
Really
doing.
This is the part of the video where we plug what's coming up that's new. Any releases planned in the near future?
Yes, right now we're in the
Just
middle
come out.
of releasing the new Vulfpeck album,
Ah, cool.
which is really fun because it's a whole new album of stuff that we recorded live in front of an audience.
Oh,
Normally
great.
record in a studio and it's all of us in a room, hanging out, vibing. And yeah, there's a camera there and you watch us do it. But this one, we actually did it as a proof of concept with the last Fearless Flyers album. We recorded it all.
Okay.
It's not a live album. It's just recorded live in front of an audience. Whatever. So yeah, we did 8 shows of 11 brand new songs. Came together, rehearsed them for a day and a half, played 8 shows in a row, and ended up nailing it. And we just picked the best takes of each of those. And
That's very cool.
so yeah, it's fun. Brand new album. Very stoked about that. Like I was saying, we just recorded a new Fearless Flyers album that we finished the day before I met you.
Oh, wow.
At the
Okay.
NAMM thing. Yeah. I'm working on mixing that right now. I should be done in the next, I don't know, we'll see if I'm going to say I'm going to finish it in the next 48 hours. So that one's going to be done. All I have to do is say that it needs to be done and then I'll get it done, you know? Or if I say like, I'll finish it in 2 weeks. Yeah, it'll be done in 2 weeks.
Yeah, there you go. That's great.
So
Exactly.
the Flyers album will be coming out at some point. I'm doing a bunch of touring under my own name, which has been fantastic.
So
And-
good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
That's
Well,
so
hit
great.
up the obvious websites. We'll put them in the description box below and check out what Cory's up to. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to add to Dan's thank you and say thanks for doing it live and recording live and showing people that it can be done to that standard.
Yeah.
Because I think we're at a point in time now where people are used to doing 58,000 takes, where they're used to never playing in the same room. And
Yeah.
while that's a great way to do it, if you want to do it that way, sometimes you can rehearse the stuff. You can get together in a space and you can play it
Yeah.
fearlessly with the way you do. And
Nice
that's
pun.
that's a
Yeah,
thank.
no,
Yeah,
it's
of course.
That's wonderful.
Thank
I
you
do
for
this for a
saying
job.
that. And the only thing I'll add is, I know you're the same way. I can tell when people are faking it. You're not fooling anybody. Well, you're probably fooling some people, but not me. It's like, wait a minute. On the video, you did this, but I hear this. Yeah, just do it live, and it's okay if there's some mistakes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no,
As I've learned to just accept the human qualities of myself in my playing. Who cares? Like, oh yeah, this note's a little, whatever. It's there enough.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wonderful.
Right.
Yo, look at me now. I'm preaching at the end of this. Yeah, we come to this. You come this far in the video. Yeah, you're gonna get a little something from me, dude.
So, as we said, websites will be listed below. Please go to that pedal show store and buy merch. That's how we fund the show. Thanks to our preferred retailers.
Thanks to our patrons and Patreon.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's
deal.
been an education.
Yeah. Really awesome.
We'll see you
All
guys
right.
soon.
You will indeed. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Peace.